Hi, I'm Marcy Jellison here again with Voice Tip for the Week. Today, I'd like to talk about practicing. Some people procrastinate. They think they've practiced in their mind because they said they're going to do it, but they don't get around to practicing. There are lots of reasons why people procrastinate, and then there are lots of reasons why people will practice, but practice like a Mack truck. I'm practicing with a tremendous amount of tension and drive and seriousness, going over and over again the same kinds of mistakes, or they think if they just sing more and louder, something will change and improve. And generally what you end up with is a bit of a sore throat at the end of that sort of thing. So I'd like to talk about why we practice, and again, attitude while practicing. This is a book I'd like to recommend. This is called With Your Own Two Hands, and it's by Seymour Bernstein. He's a pianist, a wonderful concert pianist and renowned piano teacher, and he made a wonderful, heartfelt book all about his students and all of their processes, including practicing. So if you're interested, you might find some wonderful details here. I think the book is out of print. You might find it in the library, or I got mine in a used bookstore. So that said, I'd like to share with you some of his ideas. He says that we should all think of ourselves as geniuses when it comes to being musicians, whether we have natural gifts or whether we're not terribly skilled. A genius, for example, will practice because they're curious about what makes this work. They'll notice what they're doing, how they achieved what they achieved, and they'll make note of it. And we, non-geniuses, should be allowed to give ourselves the same kind of importance and seriousness toward what we're doing. So go for your practice with the intention of saying, I deserve to do this. Because what you are doing is using music to develop yourself. It's a form of self-realization, and that is an act that's totally worth it. Okay, so let's break this down, the idea of practicing. I look at practicing as a two-part series of serious play and goals and games. Serious because you have made the commitment, the time commitment, to meet with yourself and practice. And that's to be taken seriously. That is sacred time for yourself to explore for the purpose of self-realization, of expressing yourself. And that has value, and that's to be taken seriously. And play, because when you show up during that time frame that's for you, do it with an attitude of play. Make it light, give it a light touch. Leave the inner critic outside the room and be with yourself. You're free to sound just awful, if you want, if that's what happens. You're free to make a lot of mistakes. It's for you. You're exploring. This is your time to play, to see how are you going to use your vocal sounds in service of making music. So that's the serious play component. And then we have goals and games. The point of practicing is to make a synthesis of our intellectual ideas, our emotional ideas, and our physical coordination. So we want to be observing ourselves by setting goals both in the technical area and in the musical area. So we start out by the technical area. We want to talk about how our body is operating, how we're breathing. We want to be able to know, am I breathing freely? Do I have enough breath? We also want to look at range, vocal range. How am I going from my high notes to my low notes and everything in between? Is the range in balance? Some people have very full low notes, their mid notes kind of disappear, and suddenly the voice is big and full on the top. So you want to devise ways of creating games and experiences where you can be focusing on evening the range so that you have a palette, a sound palette that works the way you want it to work when you're creating music that you want to make. And the third element of your technical goals has to do with understanding where tension is located. You'll want to develop experimenting and games around releasing tension, whether it's the jaw, the tongue, shoulders perhaps. Are you really standing on your legs? It's more of that working with the whole physicality. That's part of your technical instrument. The next group of goals that you'll want to be setting is with your music. You'll have your feeling about phrasing. How do you want to make your phrasing? And what kind of tempo do you want to use? Can you slow down first for a bit and then bring it up to tempo once you've gained confidence by doing it accurately, slowly? You'll also want to look at your emotional connection to a piece of music. You can have many different emotional ideas about the very same piece of music, and you might want to give yourself an opportunity to play with that. Maybe I want to sing it ironically. Maybe I want to sing this piece with a lot of joy. Maybe I want to sing it sarcastically, or just very lovingly, or very quickly. You just don't know where you want to go with it, and you want to explore all possibilities. And finally, I may be thinking these things emotionally, but will the audience receive what I'm trying to do? How am I using my face, my eye focus, my gestures to help me explore and communicate this piece of music? So this is another set of your areas of goals, things that you'll be practicing in your sacred time. The next time we meet, I'm going to pull these goals apart in more detail and give you some ideas for your own practice. So that's Voice Tip for this week. Please visit me again at marcyjellisonvoice.com. You'll see more written material about this topic of practicing, and you can write me a note if you choose to, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have and share with me how you practice. Thank you.